My name is Daniel. At my wife's sister's wedding, I saw her standing with the one man she promised was no longer part of her life.
My name is Daniel. I wasn't supposed to see them. That was the strange part. I had spent the entire evening trying to avoid being the husband who watched his wife too closely. It was her sister's wedding. Everyone was dressed beautifully. Everyone was smiling. And I was standing near the bar, holding a glass I hadn't touched, watching my wife disappear through a side door. She had told me she needed fresh air. I believed her, until I saw who followed her. Her ex-husband, Michael. The man she had promised was completely out of her life. They stood beneath the string lights behind the reception hall. He said something. She laughed. Then he touched her face. She didn't move away. I felt something inside me go completely still. Not rage, not panic. Something colder. Recognition? I didn't walk toward them. I didn't make a scene. I simply watched for another 10 seconds. Then I put my untouched drink down and walked back inside. That was the moment I stopped fighting for my marriage. I just didn't tell her yet. My wife Rachel and I had been married for 7 years. I had always known about Michael. She told me their marriage had ended badly. She told me he had cheated. She told me she had blocked him years ago. I believed every word, because that's what trust does. It fills in the spaces where evidence doesn't exist. For months, though, things had felt different. Rachel started guarding her phone. She became protective of certain evenings. She mentioned Michael's name less often. Ironically, that was what made me suspicious. People don't stop mentioning someone because they've forgotten them. Sometimes they stop because mentioning them creates risk. Still, I never accused her. I wanted to believe there was another explanation. Then came her sister's wedding. Rachel insisted I attend. She seemed unusually nervous that morning. Before we left, she looked at herself in the mirror for almost 10 minutes. Then she asked me, "Do I look okay?" I smiled. "You look beautiful." She kissed me. For a moment, I forgot everything. Then we arrived, and I saw Michael. He wasn't on the guest list, at least not officially, yet Rachel wasn't surprised to see him. She looked frightened. That was the detail I couldn't understand. If he meant nothing, why did she look afraid? I didn't confront her that night. Instead, I started paying attention. The next morning, I checked our shared financial records. There were no hotel bills, no suspicious purchases, nothing obvious. Then I checked our phone account. Several calls appeared between Rachel and an unfamiliar number. The calls were always short, usually late. I traced the number through a public directory. It belonged to Michael. I stared at the screen. Then I remembered the wedding. The side door, his hand on her face, her silence. I could have confronted her immediately, but I wanted the truth, not a story. So I hired a private investigator. 2 weeks later, he gave me a folder. The first photograph showed Rachel meeting Michael at a coffee shop. The second showed them entering an apartment building. The third showed Rachel leaving 2 hours later. Then came something I hadn't expected. A property record. Michael had purchased the apartment 6 months earlier, but the payments were coming from an account connected to Rachel. I felt my chest tighten. This wasn't simply an old relationship. She had been financing part of his life. I kept turning pages. Then I found the strangest document. A lease agreement. Rachel's signature was on it. The apartment wasn't Michael's. It was theirs, at least on paper. I finally understood why she had been so nervous at the wedding. She hadn't accidentally seen her ex. She had been meeting him regularly, and someone in her family already knew. I found that person 3 days later. Rachel's sister. I didn't accuse her. I asked one question. How long? She started crying. That answered it. She admitted she had known for almost a year. She said Rachel was confused. She said Michael had been going through a difficult time. She said they never intended to hurt me. I listened. Then I asked, "Did Rachel ever plan to tell me?" She looked down. No. That answer hurt more than the photographs. Because an affair can be a mistake. Planning to hide it is a decision. I went home. I packed one suitcase. Then I waited. Rachel came home that night. She smiled when she saw me. You're still awake. I nodded. Sit down. She looked at the suitcase. Her smile disappeared. What happened? I placed the wedding photograph on the table, the one someone had posted online. Michael was visible in the background. Rachel stared at it. Then she looked at me. Daniel. I placed the investigator's folder beside it. She didn't open it. She didn't need to. Her face told me everything. How long? I asked. She whispered. 8 months. I nodded. No shouting. No insults. Just silence. Then she said the sentence I expected. I still love you. I looked at her. Maybe. She blinked. But you didn't love me enough to tell me. Her eyes filled with tears. I was going to. When? She couldn't answer. That silence was enough. I took off my wedding ring, placed it on top of the folder. Then I stood. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Not because I hated her, because I finally understood that touching someone doesn't mean they still belong in your life. The divorce was finalized months later. Rachel tried to contact me several times. I never answered. Michael disappeared from the picture soon after. Apparently, once the secret was exposed, their perfect reunion wasn't so perfect anymore. I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to. My revenge wasn't destroying them. It was refusing to let them destroy the rest of me. Sometimes I think about that wedding. The music, the lights, the laughter. Everyone celebrating a new marriage, while mine was quietly ending outside the building. I used to believe that was the worst night of my life. Now I see it differently. That was the night I was finally given permission to stop pretending. I didn't lose my wife that night. I lost the version of her I had been defending in my head. And strangely, that loss felt like freedom.
Because when I finally walked away, I wasn't leaving someone I loved.
I was leaving a lie I had spent 7 years protecting, and I never looked back.